Hey guys, how's it going? So we're back here today talking about fish tank maintenance. So if you have any more questions about maintenance or where to get things to maintenance your tank, on the website here you can find a bunch of different links to different suppliers who have all different maintenance tools you can use to clean your tank, whether that's fishing nets, different basically anything you need, different gravel vacuums, filters, anything you need. There's links to all different companies that I would recommend on the website, so be sure to go check that out. So first thing we're going to be talking about for fish tank maintenance is feeding. That's one big thing that I think people think is going to be really easy, but they don't realize how much of a cautious effort it's going to be. So the fish tank, you're going to want to feed your fish about 2 to 3 times a day. So I personally have forgotten sometimes, and I'll feed them only once a day. You can get away with once a day every once in a while, but the sweet spot is 2 to 3 times a day. Now, I have a jar right here. It's Tetra Minis. This is just some flakes for tropical fish. That's gonna work perfect. A lot of people wonder about quantity, how much you're gonna feed your fish. They say about the size of each fish's eye. Give them about 2 portions of that per fish. So, also another way you can tell if you're overfeeding, they say start off with a little bit when you first get your fish tank and all your fish in there. Start off with a little bit, however much your fish can eat in 2 to 3 minutes without any leftover. The one thing you don't want is to overfeed your fish, then you have fish food stuck in the water, then it gets gross in there and it creates ammonia and that would spike and kill your fish. So don't overfeed your fish. Make sure you're feeding about as much as they can eat in a 2 to 3 minute span, and then 2 to 3 times a day. So that's the first thing you're going to need to know to maintenance your tank. Second thing we're going to talk about is cleaning the tank. So there's a lot of different things you're going to need to know when cleaning your tank. The first one, if you can see, my fish tank, the water level's dropping a little bit. I let this happen for the sake of this video, and we'll see if we get to actually replace the water in this video. If not, I'll just do it after. But I just wanted to show you guys what happens. So a lot of people have sponge filters in their tank, and what happens is when the water's bubbling, it'll sprout out a little bit of water, and over time, your water level is going to drop. So what you have to do is water changes. So right here, got a big old bucket of water, and what you're going to want to do is take water from your sink, and you're going to want to fill it with something like this. This is the API stress coat. I guess it's backwards reading. But what this does is takes out the chlorine in the water in your tap water and makes it safe for fish to breathe in. If you don't use a chemical like that, your fish will most likely get stressed out and die. So you want to make sure you're taking the chlorine out of your tap water before you add it into your tank. Read the bottle description. It'll tell you how much you need for whatever water you're using, but yeah, you're going to need one of those to maintenance your tank whenever you replace water. So that's the first thing we're going to need to do for a fish tank when we're replacing the water, is make sure our water chemistry is correct. The second thing we're going to need to do, and this is a big problem for most fish tank people, is clean the algae. You can see I've let the algae overgrow a little bit on the filter in the back, a little bit on the glass, it looks a little hazy, and a little bit on the sides. This is pretty easy problem to fix. There's lots of ways they've taught on YouTube that you can give different quantities of different things into the water to adjust the algae. Biggest reason for algae blooms is lighting, so make sure you're careful about that. You don't want too much light for too long in the day. If you're going to have your fish tank light on for longer, you're going to want dimmer light. So just adjust accordingly. But as far as cleaning it, we're just going to use a little sponge. Most people have a sponge you put on a long stick, that way you don't have to get your hands in there. But I just use a little cut off of a sponge. I cut it in an L shape. And what you do is you stick your hand in, just clean it off, scrub it into the water. One thing that's going to be really cool and you'll learn pretty fast, if you have algae and need to do a water change, scrub the algae first. That way all that stuff's in the water. Then when you do a water change and you pull the water out of the fish tank, all that algae will come out and replace it with clean water. Your tank will be looking brand new. So just take a little bit of sponge, clean your fish tank on the inside, clean off any of the things. Some people use toothbrushes, whatever you need to get the job done. Now, the next thing we're going to be talking about for fish tank maintenance is water changes. So we've mentioned that a few times through this video, and if you're a beginner wondering what the heck is this guy talking about, water changes are a necessary part of maintaining a fish tank, because what happens in your fish tank is something called the nitrogen cycle, where it takes all the fish poop, the excess food, anything that's like rotting, going bad in your water, turns into ammonia. Then the bacteria in your water will change the ammonia into nitrite, and then from nitrite to nitrate. This is a really healthy process. It needs to happen in your fish tank. But once you have nitrate just sitting in your water, too much of it can be dangerous to the fish. So what you have to do is water change to pull the nitrates out of the water. So one way to do this is using a fish tank vacuum. So these things look like this. You stick one side. Uh-oh, I lost one of the sides. Here it is. You've got a little bit of a funnel looking end on it. So you stick this side into the fish tank, and you take the other side of the tube and stick it into a bucket. So what you do is you want to create a siphon so that water's coming out of your hose and going into your bucket, and that'll pull the water out of your fish tank. You can also use this to vacuum any of the fish poop or old fish food or anything like that, and that's how you clean your fish tank right there to do water changes. So it's a pretty simple method. Some are easier to do. You can squeeze it and that'll create the siphon and pull water out. Some people you have to breathe in on this end of the hose and that'll pull water in and then put in your bucket real fast. But yeah, that's the next step of maintenance, is doing water changes. And that's going to be it for today's video. So I hope you guys learned. Again, the things we talked about are how much to feed your fish when maintaining a fish tank, how to clean your fish tank and for algae and stuff sitting on the bottom, and then how to do water changes. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this wanted you guys to get started and keep going in the fish keeping hobby, and hope you guys have a great day.